Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing. Hi guys, welcome to episode 103 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. So, we all have one main job in life, and this goes for every single person. And I'm going to tell you what that is at the end of this episode. Don't you just love a good hook like that? But seriously, I am going to tell you what it is at the end of the episode. Anyway, for now, I was listening to a podcast this last week, and I thought, wow, this is so good and so deep. And the guest he was interviewing was talking about how many years it took him to research his book. And my mind immediately went to the thought, is my podcast any good? Do I even go deep enough? Does my book need to be researched for years in order to be good? But you know what? I caught myself and I turned it around. I realized I was comparing myself to someone who wasn't me. And that is a recipe for disaster. It's certainly not going to increase my happiness. Comparison can cause you to quit, or not even start because you think you weren't good enough. Because look at all that person has accomplished, or all of their degrees, or their years of research on their book, right? But they had to start somewhere, and that goes for everything in life. If you think that person that you see that's super successful got it overnight, I would bet a lot of money that you don't know the whole story. Do you ever do this? Do you compare yourself to someone else? Am I the only one? Odds are you do. I read one study that said 88% of women compare themselves to other women in one way or the other. And the other 12% weren't alive. Just kidding, I added that. But no, seriously, 88% is a lot. Now, I would argue, seriously, that everyone does it because it is hardwired into our species, according to Leon Festinger, who did a whole study on social comparison. Check it out. I will put his name in the show notes because I'm telling you, it's really interesting. And on top of that, did you know that comparison is one of the leading causes of unhappiness? No wonder we're in this state of the world we are in right now. And social media has just made it worse. We're going to compare ourselves to others in any area, and we do it for different reasons, but one major reason is self-evaluation, because you wonder how you're going to stack up to everybody around you. But see, this is where it gets tricky, because when you compare yourself to someone you don't know on social media, you're comparing yourself to the idea they're presenting to the world, not necessarily the actual thing. And we've all heard about the highlight reel of someone else's life on social media. In fact, I would venture to say most of us have done that before. So you might think to yourself, well, I'm not going to post that picture of myself in that new yoga pose because Layla, I made Layla's name up for this story, by the way. Anyway, Layla just posted a picture of that same pose, and it was so perfect that I'll just look dumb. But can we be real for a minute? Layla could possibly be a hot mess in every area of her life but yoga. Not necessarily, but she excels in yoga because that's her focus. That's her gig. Do you want it to be your focus? If that's your goal, then do it. But comparing yourself to Layla, who's been probably doing it for 20 years, isn't going to make you better. It's going to make you crazy. So don't put yourself down because you weren't there yet. Post that picture anyway. You never know who you're going to inspire. There are levels of success in every arena. And the one thing I know is that consistency is where the money is. Layla probably does yoga every day for 2 hours, and that's why she's so good. If your passion is to be that good, then model what Layla's doing, but be sure not to put yourself down on your way to being that good. It'll just set you back or make you stop altogether. And remember, Layla at one point was where you are. And this again applies to anything in life. You have to crawl before you walk. And when you're attempting to walk, you're going to fall a lot. And we are also often comparing ourselves to the idea that the media or social media puts forth as success. So they say certain degrees or certain money or certain cars equal success. And when we don't have that, we think we're doing something wrong. Well, I would beg to differ because we each have a path to happiness and no two paths are going to look the same. So don't fall for that trap. Have you ever been enjoying a salad, a yummy salad, just like, oh, this is so good. And then you see the waiter walk by with a hamburger and french fries and you get a smell of it and you see it. And all of a sudden your salad isn't looking or tasting so great. That's comparison at work. You were happy with your salad until you saw the hamburger. Again, it happens in every area, but this is where our thought work has to come in. I mean, you have to say to yourself, look, I'm choosing my health over comfort food. I mean, you could have easily ordered that hamburger, but it's not on your plan for the week. My husband and I eat out a lot because I don't love to cook. And inevitably, the waiter's going to ask us at the end of our dinner if we want dessert. And we generally just laugh and say, no, it's a Tuesday. We reserve that for a Friday or Saturday. And that works for us. Nobody knows what path is best for you but you. And sometimes you have to think outside the box too. I mean, in my interior design career, I love design so much, but I love travel even more. And taking on big projects doesn't lend itself to travel. So I thought long and hard about something I could do that would be fulfilling and fun and allow me to travel as much as I want. Deep down, I realized after some reflection that my design practice was ultimately about making people feel beautiful and happy. And I can do that through my podcast, and I get the same fulfillment. And bonus, I impact way more people than when I do one design project. And that's why we have to figure out what our dream is and follow it. No one has the uniqueness of you. I mean, for me, I just love to connect and I'm very comfortable talking to anyone. And I love lifting others up and making them feel beautiful. And also making them feel like they can achieve anything they set their mind to, because you can. So a podcast was the perfect thing. So my message today is this, all right? You have one job, and that's to find your own happiness. Your happiness isn't going to look like anyone else's. And it isn't anyone else's job to find it for you. I love that thought. Isn't it freeing? You can decide what happiness means to you, and there isn't one thing anyone else can do about it. Being happy is the ultimate wildly successful lifestyle, and it starts internally. And as long as you are physiologically healthy, you control that happiness. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you in a few days. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.